Let me find it. Like, where is this? My favorite ones. I mean, I like this laughter one. I like the one hugging with ourselves. The guy with sandwich is also cool, and this is my favorite one with the like mountains and meditation kind of stuff. So there.
And on the other side, we have a carbon credit industry that represents $1.19 trillion only in 2023.
To limit climate change to a livable point is to reach net zero by 2050. That's the global goal.
Welcome everyone. Today we have special guests, Alejandra and Ariel. Both are active in Algorand NFT space, and we'll be talking what they are cooking in the coming days and weeks on Algorand blockchain and also in the carbon credit industry. But first, welcome to the show, Alejandra and Ariel.
Thank you, Andrzej. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for your time and for having us here.
Yeah. I'm curious to really learn more what's inside of the project. We've talked a bit before. I know, Ariel, you were involved as an external consultant to Algorand. I know from your past experience, you've also been building communities in Latin America and Spain. And you are both involved in pretty interesting projects, integrating those two industries, which is environmental industry and carbon credit industry, merging this with art NFTs, which is kind of at the first glance probably surprising, for at least for me it was. So I know there are some synergies and opportunities for both sides, yep, I'm super happy to digest it in details. But maybe first, let's give a bit of background of both of you. Like, what's your past experience that drove you to the place where you are today? I'm not sure who wants to start.
Ale, ladies first.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, hello everyone. My name is Alejandra. I am Mexican. Now I'm living in France. And well, what brought me to this place now is I did a bachelor in biology. I have been always passionate about nature, conserving, restoring nature. And so I have worked in different sectors. I have worked in the government, I have worked in the tourism sector, I have worked in civil organizations, and now I'm working in ACES, which is a private company. And in all these previous experience I have, I've seen always the same problem, that is lack of funding for restoring nature, for protecting it. Regardless how important it is, regardless the dependency that the humanity and the economy has for healthy nature, there is always lack of funding for this, which really like pisses me off, because it's unbelievable. Like then I went to COP26 2 years ago in Glasgow, and then I heard so many speeches there, finance people talking about all the millions of dollars, euros that they will going to give for fighting climate change, for having healthy ecosystems. And I was like very surprised, like, okay, these people is talking about giving so much money, and then people in the field actually restoring nature, they are lacking funds. Like there's something wrong here. Like, so this make me realize like there's a huge need to bridge this gap somehow. And well, that's one of the things that carbon credits aim at, is channeling funding for projects. In the specific case of carbon credits is for decarbonization, but in general, they have a huge potential if they are supporting projects that help to restore nature, they have much more benefits than only decarbonizing. It helps for preserving all the other ecosystem services, such as biodiversity, water, soil, the air we breathe, medicine resources. So the benefits for restoring ecosystems are huge. And now that we finally have this link with carbon credits, well, that's what I'm striving at now, to support more and more projects for restoring nature.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. And I do agree. I mean, funding is always a problem, especially, I mean, if you are operating in a kind of sector that is not very much, that doesn't get the right attention. Thanks for this introduction, Alejandra. Ariel, a few words from your background?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna make it very quickly. So before being the consultant of Algorand, I always how I ended up here is not just for the blockchain. I started in 2018, started studying because I wanted to solve a problem I had with with a project. I needed to pay someone, different teams around the world, and I couldn't use the banks. So that's how I ended up learning about Bitcoin, and then I just went deep and discovered Ethereum, smart contracts, and I went deep in the technical in a way to understand and how to use it. So the reason why was the reason why I wanted to I approached to the crypto industry is because find a solution and put it in practice. It's not just I know about this, but I put it in practice on a real business model, on a real use case, or something real, not just a speculation. So since it is very new, even today, it's very the ecosystem is very young. Back in the day, it was still younger, and it's more experimental. So I worked. Well, that was during the pandemic. I did different tests. I studied a lot, and I created a project for myself, and then I worked in Ledger. It was a very interesting experience because all the knowledge Ledger represents for the industry a very strategic company. Without security, there is no Web3. So, like non-custodial security for me was capital because I really understand and try to the way I keep on I understand all the evolutions of the blockchain is because I understand very clear what are the fundamentals of Web3. So once you stick to the fundamentals of Web3, then the rest, that the new things that come in, mostly they are or else inspired or a copy of what has been done before, unless there is Algorand. Sometimes unless there is something new. But the thing is that, well, I learned a lot in Ledger, and because you have different protocols, secure different protocols, I understood from the importance of security and the consequences, not only financial, but there are different consequences in the industry. And what I love the most of this industry is that you have, in order to have an idea, you need to understand different fields just to have an idea, and then you can let's say master one or two fields, but to have an idea, you need to understand a little bit of different things. And one of those different things before Web3 was the environment. The environment, the carbon credits are not a new technology. It's very old. It's like 20 years old. But I used to hear about that. It's just that I had it in my mind. And then, but blockchain was not there. And now blockchain we have blockchain. And it was like all the puzzles, all the pieces of the puzzles just got together because of the technology that we have. So we have the same problem. The technology evolved. And as always, it's up to us how we use the technology. But in today's time, we have a very interesting technology that allows us to put in practice things that we couldn't have done, I don't know, 10 years ago. And this is one of the reasons how I ended up here, because I see the value, I recognize the value and the potentials of these technologies to put in practice and to put in practice business models in the real economy. So yeah, this is my background and how I ended up here.
Okay, perfect, beautiful. And yeah, definitely, I mean, with your experience at Ledger, with various blockchains and getting the knowledge about Web3, you probably also see what kind of obstacles or issues we have right now in terms of crypto mainstream adoption and NFT to go mainstream as well. I mean, we also see a lot of application of NFT these days, but what is your perspective in terms of like what is missing for blockchain and for crypto to go really mainstream, and what's missing in an NFT? And then maybe we can study if what you are building is kind of getting us closer to that.
Sure. To answer this question is very simple. Very friendly user experience. That's the problem, and it's complicated because Web3. I mean, Web3 gives you a lot of power and at the same time a lot of responsibilities. And if you want to only have only the good things about a new industry, then it's not realistic. If you want to be your own bank, or if you want to be your own custodian of your value, well, you need to understand how this technology works, and you need to understand that it is very new. You can be your own bank, you can be your own custodian, but since the technology is still improving and it's less nerdy than before, but still, you know, there's some technical things, you need to make an intellectual effort to use it correctly. Otherwise, you will take a lot of risk, and you will lose everything, as many people lost everything, and also you will be victim of scams. So the risk is real, the opportunities are real too, but you can have I mean, you can be really take advantage of this technology, but you have responsibilities too. So if you are mature enough to realize that it's not 100% beautiful, it is 50-50. There is a balance there. There is a huge potential, but there is a balance. And as soon as you realize that, then everything is perfect. So let's say that you have that consciousness. So then I will say user experience is what is blocking. First, the consciousness of how this technology works and what needs to be done in order to use it securely. And then from the UI experience or the user experience, yes, we need more friendly user experiences, because the concepts that we are working with are very abstract, are value concepts, almost philosophical concepts. We are talking about but we are talking about that we don't need to trust another human to make transactions. We are putting our trust in mathematics, in mathematics, and the mathematics are like the language of the universe in a way. So it's exact. So for the first time in human history, we can take apart the middleman and avoid a lot of problems. That doesn't mean that we are not going to talk with another human. Of course, we will always talk with another human, because we will always need to get along in the agreements that we are going to pass, right? But now we have technologies that allows us to say, okay, if we agree on something, perfect, then we code it, and once we code it, that's it. I mean, of course we can let's say we can make remove some things, but what I mean is that all the repetitive actions or all the risk of everyday. Let's say I was thinking about, if you need to make transactions or if you need to pay people, you can code and you can do it like instantly without the need of authorization from people that don't even understand what you're doing. It's not their money, and they have no business to be the third party if you want to, create something, do business with someone. I'm thinking about banks or intermediate institutions. So far, they are needed because of the technology, but mostly because of the consciousness of the people. So we are talking about, we are talking about how do we increase that? How do we create the mass adoption? And coming from Latin America, I will say problems. It's a paradox, but the best marketing department of blockchain or crypto in Latin America are the corrupt governments, are the disastrous economic situations, crisis. Especially in Argentina, we have a lot of experience with that, and that's why it's not a coincidence that in Argentina, especially in Buenos Aires, we are like a very good users of Web3 communities. I mean, we use a lot crypto to avoid inflation. We have huge percentage of inflation here, and we use stable coins. So, but this is not the same in Europe. Why? Because Europe is you have a different context. You have everything. I mean, the banks, is very easy to get a bank account once you are a citizen of any European community country. So everything is like it's fixed. So we don't ask ourselves what's the meaning of the value of money, or what's money, how money is created. We don't ask those questions because we don't need to, unless there is a war, unless there is something that push us to make those questions. Even under the pandemic, those questions were not made like in a big number, but that didn't happen in the South. The South, when there were, I just remembering how this crisis. I was in France when the pandemic arrived, and they just printed money, and it's okay because they could allow themselves to do that. Of course, they will bring a lot of problems, but I mean, since they could do that, then they save some time. But the point is that the adoption of crypto, it is related to the economic situation of each country and the freedoms that each citizens have to access to information and to access to education. So if they have access to internet, then there is a chance that there is a possibility. Then it is up to the individual to search on the internet and make the right search and do their part in order to access to this information, and that's it. But I would say consciousness and then user experience. Those are the main things.
Yeah, for sure. And as you've mentioned, Argentinian people, they will use the technology because that's a must-have for them, right? They've seen corrupted governance, they've seen inflation, same in Nigeria, other parts of the world. In Europe or in States, basically where the things are more or less working, we are not seeing the real problems. So I think the technology is often being used like as a nice to have in areas where you can really come up with a new business model. It's not like going to the bones of like what we need as a humans. So we see a lot of interesting projects happening. Recently we have this narrative of real world assets. we have interesting projects in Algorand which are actually making a real world impact, like Lofty in the real estate, or TravelX for the airline industry. So a lot of things are being tokenized, obviously gold being tokenized with the projects like Mailed Gold. And I think when I look on like what you are doing, you're also involving real artists. I mean, some of the artworks are behind me. Trying to make a real world impact, solving some real world problems. Alejandra or Ariel, maybe you can give a perspective actually what problems is solving the undertaking which you are doing.
Yeah.
Yes, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
So the carbon credits, they can be issued for a huge variety of different projects that help to remove carbon, CO2 from the atmosphere, or to avoid CO2 from being emitted to the atmosphere. Just to mention some examples, on one side we have nature-based solutions, which is the type of projects we work with. So nature-based solutions consist on the restoration or the protection of ecosystems. For example, if someone plants trees, it's evident that these trees, when they grow, they will capture CO2 and they will store it in their bodies, in their biomass. Also, so that's a carbon removal, because trees are actively capturing CO2 from the air. Other type of carbon credit from nature-based solutions are the ones issued from avoided deforestation, which is very common in the Amazonian rainforest, because it's under a great risk of deforestation. So some projects that protect areas and prevent deforestation, they prevent carbon from being emitted to the atmosphere. Other type of project in nature-based solutions are agriculture, regenerative agriculture, which enhance soil carbon capture. Instead of losing soil and the carbon it has, they protect the soil so the carbon stays there. But there are other type of projects not related with nature, which have also a positive impact on society. For example, in some communities with the low economic resources, they are still using wood to cook. They don't have stoves, they use wood, they burn it. So they have the problem of being deforesting their forest. They have the problem of polluting the air they breathe. So we have high rates of respiratory diseases. And also the time it takes for the mostly women who are in charge of collecting the wood they need to cook. So it's a health and economic and ecological problem, and social at the same time. And there are carbon projects that give these communities solar stoves, for example. So they stop burning wood, and they stop wasting the time, and they stop breathing this polluted air. So for these avoided emissions, they can have carbon credits. Another type of project that creates carbon credits are, for example, renewable energies. If electricity was being produced from burning coal or oil or something, some fossil fuel, if now we're using electricity produced from clean sources such as photovoltaic or wind or nuclear, so these carbon emissions are being avoided as well for the substitution of electricity we're using. So these are some examples that are having different impacts on society, on ecosystems. Some of them have many co-benefits for society, others not so much. For example, one of the most regarded option now, a technological option, is direct air capture. So it's with basically like ventilators or vacuums that are absorbing air from the atmosphere. They filter it, and then they remove the CO2, they store it, they send it many meters underground, and then it's a safe store for CO2, but it doesn't help people, it doesn't help ecosystems. Well, yes, because we are avoiding climate change a little bit with that, but it's not having additional co-benefits. So yeah, there are different considerations when trying to choose which projects are better than others. So yeah, there's a lot of it on carbon credits, and that determines as well the price of carbon credits. But now we, in ACES, we focus only on nature-based solution projects, because we see beyond carbon. We see that also biodiversity is important. There's not only the climate change crisis, there's also the biodiversity loss crisis globally. There's also the land desertification crisis globally that is making that a lot of soil is becoming infertile, so that it cannot hold more vegetation in it. We cannot grow food or forest or plants. Nothing can grow once the soil is at such level of degradation. So all these three crises can be addressed by restoring ecosystems, by protecting the vegetation, the animals, the insects, all that grows on it. So that's why we are so passionate about nature-based solution projects, because it's not only for carbon and climate change, it goes further more than that. It also helps to prevent extreme weather events happen anyway, because there's climate change increasing them, but the impact they have on communities, on population, is mitigated as well. When we have healthy forests, then flooding is not that bad. If we have a good condition in the soil moisture and there is a fire, it's less likely that it will spread so faster, or that it will start at the beginning, because if the soil is enough moist, it's not the same as if it's dry. The conditions for fire are different. And also for pollination, insects can be way better if the vegetation is diverse than if there is nothing. So we depend on all the ecosystem, all the species, and that's why we strive for its conservation and the restoration actively.
Okay, so thanks for that. So if I can digest more, like for the audience listening also to this program, what carbon credits are. So I understand if we are avoiding CO2 emission to the environment, or we are removing carbon that is in the environment, then we are earning kind of some carbon points, right? You said, I mean, Ariel, you've said that carbon credit technology has like a 20 years. So maybe, like, why do we need blockchain in this whole, like, solution? It's an interesting topic, maybe.
Yeah, I can start with that part. I can start with how it worked on the past and how is it evolving now. In the past, before blockchain, so carbon credits, they need someone to issue them. Those are certification bodies. As you say, you gain points. These points, one carbon credit is equivalent to 1 ton of CO2. That's 1,000 kilograms. So the project developer, the people that plant the trees, for example, they plant trees. They need someone else to come and to measure the benefits, how much CO2 is actually being removed. So it needs a scientific methodology for the measurements, and then someone else, a third party, to verify that the calculations were done correctly. And then the certification body says, okay, this has been measured, this person verified, then I will issue this amount of carbon credits because you captured this amount of CO2. So they issue it, and before they register it in a local and centralized database, which only they have access to. And all the transactions that take place when they sell these carbon credits for a company that wants to compensate their carbon footprint, they are still not publicly disclosed. It's quite untransparent. It's very difficult to find out this information, who bought carbon credits, from whom, from which project, because companies can say, yeah, I bought so many carbon credits, my carbon footprint is down. But no one really knows if someone else already said the same for the same carbon credits, or if the carbon credits from one project have been issued twice or claimed twice. So this is one of the most important problems with carbon markets, the double counting. So that's what blockchain is helping to do, because it's making it, first of all, public and also immutable. So once the carbon credits are issued and they are registered there, only one person can own them. You cannot have one carbon credit with two owners. And once someone uses them, they are what we call retired, which means they are canceled. And in the case of blockchain, that means born. So no one else can use them again.
Okay. So help me understand. So let's say I've done some good work. I've removed this 1 ton of CO2 from the environment. I've earned 1 carbon credit. So how can I use it? What can I do with this? I understand that blockchain helped me, and blockchain helped me to remove the authorities. Somebody magically issued a carbon credit. I got it. And what was the use case for the carbon credit?
Okay, so if you planted the trees, that means you are the project developer. You own the carbon credits. So once the certification body issues them, they are in your wallet. And then they should be in a marketplace. In NASES, we have our own marketplace, which is called NAT5. There are other marketplaces like Tucan or Climadao, for example. So carbon credits are listed there. People or companies that want to buy go there and they just purchase them. They pay with crypto, and then through a smart contract, the transaction is done. So now it's not anymore in your wallet, it's mine, and then you receive the crypto that I pay you.
Okay, but why do I want to buy a carbon credit? If I'm like a regular crypto guy, why do I need carbon credit? What's the motivation for anyone to buy a carbon credit in the market?
Yep, the ultimate motivation is to contribute to climate action and to support the projects that generated them. And the causes that make us want to do that are diverse. The most noble would be just because we want to help. But for companies, for example, for corporates, it's because they want or they need to reduce their carbon footprint, either because they are obliged by regulations or because they want to have a greener image. They want to show their customers that they care, because now it's a trend. Everyone is worried about climate. A lot of consumers regard or look at which companies have better practices, which ones have a lower impact. So now companies love to say they are greener, that their carbon footprint is lower. So there is a hierarchy for climate mitigation. So the first and most important action that needs to be done is reduce the emissions we do, avoid them as much as we can. For example, travel less, anything that is related to burning less fossil fuels. If we cannot do that, we can reduce it, either by getting more energy efficient or by changing logistics into shorter distances. So that's why we reduce it. And to the point that we cannot avoid or reduce the residual carbon footprint, we can compensate it, and that's by buying carbon credits. The problem is that sometimes companies just buy directly without avoiding or reducing. But well, that's another part of the subject. The thing is that by compensating, at the end they say, okay, I emitted 200 tons, but I bought 200 carbon credits, so it's like kind of my carbon footprint is neutral. So that's why that's what means the famous net zero. You've maybe heard about it. The aim to limit climate change to a livable point is to reach net zero by 2050. That's the global goal. So it's called net zero because it's based on that. So there are positive emissions and there are removals or reductions or something that helps to counteract it. So at the end, we are in the middle. It's not that there are not going to be any emissions. It's going to be emissions, but they are going to be compensated. So they're going to be in zero.
Okay, excellent. So I understand that with this net zero goal, there are some obligations, regulations, which are forcing companies who are actually making a negative impact on the environment by CO2 emission. They can kind of buy the carbon credits, and in this way, they kind of balance their bad work with sponsoring some good work that someone done before, right? That's like more or less. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's like if they planted the trees themselves, but instead they are outsourcing or they're paying someone else for planting the trees. It's also a strategy to help the decarbonization happen faster, because for companies, transitioning to new technologies can take much more time. And meanwhile, they can compensate. So the proportion of compensation they are doing now, which is bigger comparing to their avoidance or reduction, is higher once the time passes, they invest in new technologies or new technologies are available, they will be doing more reduction or avoidance job instead of compensation. But yeah, compensation is a constant.
Okay, beautiful. So maybe a question to Ariel right now. I mean, how did you come up with the idea of actually involving an artist into this project? And maybe you can explain how this all fits together. As I mentioned, there are some artworks. I put on the wallpaper here. I think you have involved 16 artists, mostly from Latin America, but not only. I love the works. Actually, they resonate with me because I think the main theme for this is a freedom. Everything, I mean, every one of us wants more freedom, wants to feel free, and this being expressed in so many different ways by different artists is a beautiful idea. So maybe how did you find the artist in the first place, and how does it really fit into this carbon credit removal initiative overall?
I will start from the last. How does it make sense to add artists to the carbon credits? Just to make it simple, let's look for problems. So I was looking for problems, and I always look for problems. So the problems in the art NFT marketplace, especially on a bear market, is the lack of liquidity, and also the lack of the bad reputations of art NFTs in general, right? We have a reputation that are only a speculative tool, which is right. It is a speculative tool. And we hear also in the market that there is no use cases, and that we hear very different things that might be true. And on the other side, we have a carbon credit industry that represents $1.19 trillion only in 2023, which has a lot of problems too, of lack of transparency, double counting, and all the things that Alejandra just explained. The thing is that it is, for me, I saw the sync was like very obvious, because both industries benefit from themselves. The carbon credit industry benefits from the technological benefits that blockchain technology can bring them to be more efficient and more transparent. From the art NFT ecosystem, there are many too. First, by merging collections or auctions with carbon credits, who are going to be the buyers? The companies who need credits, and also the collectioners or the users. But mostly, maybe you have three different people, three different niches. If we're talking about companies, then it will inject fresh capital into a bear market that is needed. So through the for instance, for this auction that we are doing on the November the 9th, we are selling in the price of the art NFT. You buy the art NFT and you buy a credit at the same time, and you have both. You have an art NFT and a carbon credit that you can do, resell it, hold it, do whatever you want, right? But you have two assets. So by doing that, let's say I'm a company, by buying this, I'm injecting fresh capital in a liquidity that there is no. The liquidity, it is very concentrated in the 20 top projects in the NFT markets. Only, I'm talking about Ethereum, I'm not even talking about Algorand. So it is very small, it is very concentrated, it leaves behind a lot of talented artists, it leaves behind of the market. Because if they want to live from their art, I mean, what do they have to do? They have to create a community, they have to do a lot of, they have to copy what the successful projects, like let's say the top 20 successful projects does. And they forget sometimes that they got this success when it was a bull market. And also because they had already a huge community, and that is that huge community that backs them in the bear market, right? Even though the price of the NFTs are getting down, still the community is that are holding their NFTs, right? So imagine an artist that just enters, discovers Web3. I mean, it is not, realistic. That it has no chance to try to make some money from this. I mean, you have a lot of effort, you have a lot of like small things. So that was the main problem I saw from let's say from the financial point of view. From more strategic point of view of onboardings from Web2 people to Web3 people, and for a more impactful point of view, from social impactful point of view, cultural impactful point of view, art for me are very important. It's very strategic to onboard to integrate different people to Web3. Let's not forget that Web3 is like it's a small ecosystem, and if we want to make it a mass adoption, well, we need to bring more people. We need to make it bigger. So we need to go fish not in the lake. We need to go fish in the ocean, and we need to get ready to go fishing in the ocean, right? So once we win, because in the ocean we have a lot of opportunities and dangers, but you need to get ready for that. The opportunities are there. So yeah, and this is exactly what I did. So I mix two industries. Each one has its complexities, but through the art, artists will give a consciousness to different narratives that represents each carbon credits. There are 170 different carbon credits that represents different niche. So imagine each niche, it has a narrative. That narrative can inspire artists and can inspire the public, the people that represents that narrative. And one of the experiences that we had while building this, everyone wants to participate. Everyone wants to be part of something bigger than themselves, especially with environments. But at the same time, you need to make money. So by mixing the carbon credit dynamics with the art, we have this economic consciousness thing that we can create a product that can be, let's say, attractive for users, that has nothing to do with Web3 and has nothing to do with carbon credit. But at the same time, through this collection or through this auction, they can discover something that could be really cool, and it is a way also to onboard people. So for me, that's what makes sense, to sync two industries in this way. I don't remember. The other question was, how did I get the 16 artists? So the artists, we were 30 at the beginning.
Okay.
And it was like, I said, okay, the subject was freedom, and then it started like freedom. The environmental concept was not there. So the environmental concept ingredient integrated later. I integrated later while I was doing this, and it was very organic. So you will have different artists that, or else it will depend of each case. So the ones that stay are the ones that were proactive, more focused on doing something instead of just talking. And that's the difference in real life sometimes in any project. You can talk and you can try to be right, or you can do something, and then you talk on something that is being done, not something that is not exist, right? So yeah, so this is how I started, how it started, all this.
Yeah. And I really love the works by the artists. I've reviewed them in details before our meeting, and actually some are really tied to the nature. Like my favorite one is probably Maisha Rondon. It's like with these mountains and sunset. And I know she's a artist born in Peru. And I mean, this is kind of, I understand, traditional art. She's specializing in watercolor. She grew up in this environment surrounded with glaciers and lagoons, and actually she put it on, as an art. And for me, I'm a runner. I'm running in mountains, so for me, this is an expression of freedom as well. So I love particularly this work. There's another work with turtles. I think artists from Mexican artists as well. So they're tied to nature. They're tied to environment. At least some of these works are tied to environment. So it will naturally attract people like me or other who actually love the work. I understand if I participate in the auction, then I make an impact on the real world, helping to make the planet become cleaner and better place to live in.
Yes, for sure. Well, that's the thing, because now we are trying to create a new tendency for art NFTs, and I believe that it is going to be a new tendency. If we succeed to make it happen, if we succeed financially speaking, it's going to be a new tendency. Money is the best marketing is the strategy that you can have. So, but not speculation. So speculation is also needed, but in this case, we are talking about real projects, and assets represents, like it says, the guardian, the custodian of that real project, because they go to the field, they check each project, they put on the blockchain, I mean, all the information that is going to be required. So that it's going to be possible to check on any explorer the life of the token of the carbon credit. So the historic of that. So if we are working on, of course, we are working on the for that the people is going to be easy for them to read this information. We are talking here now about education, and in Access Learn we have in Access they have Access Learning, and Access Learning they talk about all these environmental subjects, but we are going to integrate Web3. So now, I mean, with the educational tools, we will use that in order to prepare the future people that's going to participate in this action. And this auction is only the beginning. It's just the first step. So so yeah, I think that by creating an artwork today, you can make an impact for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. And let me find it. Like, where is this? My favorite ones. I mean, I like this laughter one. I like the one hugging with ourselves. The guy with sandwich is also cool, and this is my favorite one with the mountains and meditation kind of stuff. So they're beautiful. I understand they are like a one-on-one NFT. So there's like a just single piece of every of these 16 NFTs, right? So they will be auctioned. So if I think the starting price is not high. It's 200 algos. We'll see how. Yeah. So if somebody buys a particular NFT, then like how does it work? I mean, how much is actually allocated to artists? How much is allocated to buy the verified soil credits? How much is for transaction fees? If you can comment a bit about it.
Sure. So let's say I buy, you are the artist, let's say I buy you your art, your piece of art. So this is an auction. So we need a base price. And the base price is, we say 200 algos. Let's say 100 algos or 100 algos is for the carbon credit, 100 algos is for the artist. That's the starting point. To that, you count the fees. The fees in the Algorand ecosystem, in the Algorand chain, is like 0.003 algos. It's less than cents. I mean, it's very low, and then the marketplace takes a percentage. I think it's between 2 and 8. No, I don't remember how much, but let's say 8%. So since it is an auction, so once the propositions are made, then depends on how the price evolves. So the carbon credit price is fixed. So once they, let's say that there is a person that propose I know 250 algos to say something. Well, the 100 is for the ticket and is for the carbon credit, and the rest is for the artist. And if it goes to 300 or 500 or whatever, yeah, still, I mean, 100, that 100 is for the carbon credit and the rest for the artist. So
okay.
that's the business model of the
Okay, excellent. So the higher the price goes, the more for the artist, and the fixed amount is for the carbon credit. And
yes.
Okay, so if somebody buys the artwork, then how do I receive the NFT into my wallet, and how does it happen that I also get a carbon credit NFT or an equivalent of that to my wallet?
Sure. So Nat5 is the marketplace of assets, right? Of the carbon marketplace. So I integrate them to Algorand. So they will use the Algorand blockchain for this auction, and they will use it now on. And the thing is, once they buy on ExaMarket under the Algorand blockchain, they will receive the address that bought that art NFT, and they will send the carbon credit to the address that bought that NFT, right? There was an internal communication. We are talking about 16. It's not huge. It's not a huge amount of people. We are going. This is the first time, so I think this is going to be manual or something. But for the first, then I'm sure that a smart contract or something can be done to make it faster. But in order to make it smooth and don't use any bridge, the fact that the Nat5 marketplace uses Algorand makes things easier for the user or for the buyer, because they just have to have a wallet that is compatible with Algorand. So that's the only thing you need. I mean, and then of course you can buy algos to participate in the bid, and yeah, and that's how it happens. So in your wallet you will have two assets actually.
Okay, excellent. So I understood that Nat5 as a marketplace is also natively built on top of Algorand, right? So that makes it simple.
Yes,
same
exactly.
Obviously as ExaMarket. Okay, cool. I'll be watching this. So it is the auction starts on November
9th. Yes, November. It's very soon, this week.
Soon. Yeah.
And
we record it on November 7th, so I'll publish this either tomorrow or exactly on the date of the auction. So we'll see. And I understand that it is somehow linked to the largest Bitcoin conference in Latin America, the La Bitcoin Conf. Can you comment on? I know that many projects from Algorand ecosystem are there, ExaMarket, Fox Finance, others. Like, how do you fit into like this Bitcoin narrative, this Bitcoin conference there?
Well, that's a big well, I can give you the polite answer, and then I can give you what I think.
Give me the answer. What do you think? I mean, we want to keep it transparent.
What I think is Algorand is like a whale sponsor there, right? This is and they need sponsors. So they open up to another protocols just to make it more Web3 conference, but because this is not only, it is of course the main subjects are going to be around Bitcoin, but reality is that they open up to Web3 because otherwise they will not get sponsors. And the reality of the market is that, I mean, you have to be open. You cannot be a maximalist on something. So that's how different other chains than Bitcoin are present. Another thing is that I think that's the main one, right? money to have more sponsors and to make bigger events, because last year there were 10,000 people. They are expecting 10,000 people this year too. And for Algorand, it is, of course, a way to position themselves in the region. They did it last year. They are doing it again. That means that it worked last year. So now they are like improving their strategies of positioning in the region. And the reason this project is there is that, well, of course, I'm using, for instance, what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm talking with, you represent Algorand in Europe, right? In Central Europe. I'm doing the same with different parts of the world with the Algorand, between the Algorand structure. So this is something that is going to be global, and I'm integrating different communities, different countries. Each country, each community manager represents a country that has artists, that represents different things. So for us, it's very important to make it international from the beginning. And being in La VidConf, well, the artists are from Latin America. It makes kind of sense. And it's a good excuse to be present and to talk about NFTs in a different way. It's a different use case, totally different. Even the NFTs that are in Bitcoin are not the same. And yes, and I think that many people doesn't know very well Algorand too, even though there are different projects. And we are going to have access to a different audience. For instance, we are going to talk to many people with Alejandra. We are both in Buenos Aires, so we came for the event because, as I said, this is just the beginning. Because we have different carbon credits, different credits. So if we want to sell it, we have to create projects. We have to create auctions and collections, and that's how I'm going to integrate different people from different countries, and that's why I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the people from Japan, Indonesia, and whatever. So this is just the beginning. So I'm integrating all the cities of the Algorand international infrastructure to keep on doing it. If I want to inject fresh capital in the art NFT market, well, this is the way, or at least this is what I'm trying. And I'm going to meet different interesting people from the foundation too that are coming to Buenos Aires. So it's going to be very, very interesting. For us, it makes sense to be here.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I love the idea that Algorand kind of is present on the Bitcoin conference. I'm a kind of Bitcoin fan as well. I follow many of the projects from the Bitcoin ecosystem and from Algorand ecosystem. So I've seen projects like Sovereign, which is building DeFi for Bitcoin, Rootstock, which I love, by the way. I'm not sure you guys from Coinbacks are going to be there, but they are present on the Latin America market. And Algorand is doing some works with them, and they are obviously doing other stuff for Latin America as well. So, I mean, part of this kind of event, sometimes interesting cooperations might be born. So, other than like what you are currently doing.
It's very interesting. As I said, I think that at the end of the day, ecosystem is still small, and you need to be stronger, and these strategic partnerships are very important because Bitcoin, of course, Bitcoin is Bitcoin, right? The sort of value of excellence. And Algorand, it really also has different, also puts on the table a lot of technological value that allows mass adoption for companies too. So I think that it's a matter of time, and it depends on, for instance, for this kind of project, we will see how it evolves, but this is the beginning. Integrating new industries. I'm not having a product, I just bring a new industry.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of capital locked into Bitcoin as such, obviously, and performance and platforms like Algorand can add more functionalities. So maybe on the future conferences, you'll be able to buy this art NFTs with Go BTC, which is like a Bitcoin Algorand or anything like that. Like so that all these whales from Bitcoin world can tap into Algorand ecosystem that way.
Well, we are eager to meet different people. We are starting today different side events to meet the community, and we are open for that. This is something organic. This project was organic from day one, and it continues to be organic. I have no idea which shape it will have at the end of the week. I'm for sure. So, I mean, this is the how this project is evolving, and I'm positive that it's going to be very fun, and we will have some nice surprises. I'm sure about that.
Yeah, for sure. Fingers crossed for this upcoming event. So maybe before we close, like what comes next after? I mean, if you have any plans, like immediate next plan after this particular drop.
Yes. You want to say something, Anya? No, sorry. No, it's okay. No worries. No, I thought that you wanted.
No. I think the carbon markets is growing a lot for the urgency, for the carbonization, and to reach the net zero goals, and to avoid climate change with its worst impacts. But it's not only growing in the sense of volume. Well, that's the most visible growth we can see because it's everywhere. But we are seeing also its evolution into nature markets, not only carbon markets, but nature markets, which will acknowledge other ecosystem services. As we are doing in Access, we are not doing only carbon credits. We are also acknowledging soil protection, which is the case of these soil credits that we are putting in the auction, which represent soil that is being prevented from being lost by erosion. So we have this type of ecosystem service acknowledged. We also have biodiversity credits. We also have water infiltration credits. So the market is going to diversify, in my opinion. Biodiversity credits are already starting to grow as well worldwide. Water as a big issue that we know there are some places with huge drought problems. I think it's going to be also growing quite fast. And soil, for the moment, up to what I know, there's not yet soil credits anywhere, but we have them. But well, hopefully someone realizes the importance and also starts to grow. That's from my side, my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and Ariel previously mentioned that there is like, if I recall correctly, 117 carbon credits, categories of different types of carbon credits. So a lot of work on this side, a lot of artists waiting on the other side, obviously, a lot of problems, environmental problems to be solved. So I wish you all the best on the path forward. And it was my pleasure hosting you here today. My guests was Alejandra and Ariel, and good luck on November the 9th.
Thank you so much for the invitation and the space and for your questions.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.